All right, now that we've talked a bit more about extended use scenarios and we have a better understanding about what's happening in these system interactions, I want to talk about the calls to the user interface and this customer here. So when it says customer clicks sign up, the customer that we're talking about here is not actually a class. And it's the same for all of the initial calling. So customer calls user interface, and then finally there's a return to customer. Now, if we had our sequence diagrams, which I actually have some right here, you may not know what these are, but I think understanding this will help you understand what we're doing here in extended use scenarios. I'm saying customer as in my customer actor. So I have classes, right? I have the user interface class. I have the user list. I even have a customer class. But in this first calling instance, I'm always talking about my actor. So my actor calls user interface display, and then user interface displays that sign up form back to my actor. And so I say that because oftentimes I see a lot of students wanting to try to have the customer class right here try to make calls. And this is not the actual customer. This is the customer's account. So whenever the customer is saving information about themselves, like their name, their email, their username, their reservations, that's what this object is for. That's what this class is for. This class is not for interaction with the system. That's what the user interface is for. The user interface is here in order for the user to get and send data from all of these classes. Okay, so now that we have that covered, I wanted to say one more thing about the user interface. This interaction here, so the user interface is displaying a sign-up form, and because of that, all they're doing is returning some information to the customer. They are not going into our system. So notice here we have all these indented steps. These are our interactions with the system. Whenever we don't have an interaction with the system, whenever we're just displaying a form, a notification, etc., we do not actually need to have, the steps listed out here. So let me jump down to this management adds an employee. So management clicks add. So they're adding a new employee to the system. Manager calls user interface display, new employee form, layout. Then the user interface returns new employee form to manager. Okay, so there was no need to get any information just the same way. They're going to fill out that form, and then it's going to be a very similar interaction with our system. But notice here, we're not calling pay method. So if we take a look at our hotel booking system class diagram, and I'll go back and we'll take a closer look at that, but I want to show you this real quick. The only different thing about an employee from a user is that it has that position. So if I go back here to my extended use scenarios, we'll see that the manager calls user interface display, and it's trying to get the employee details. How do I know that? Because we want to see, once this is all over, the employee name and position details. So the user interface is going to call the user list. It's going to call the user list, and it's going to say add a new user. It's going to put it in that user input. The user list is going to call the employee constructor because we're creating a new object, and then the employee is going to return that employee object to the user list. The user list is going to return that object to the user interface. The user interface is going to return that object to the manager. And so it's displaying now that object. And you could say employee object and details view, right? Because it's displaying all of that employee object if you wanted to rephrase that.